Welcome back to Rabid Noise. Joining me on the program now is Tobias, the mastermind behind Edguy and Avantasia. How you going, man?
It's amazing. It's getting summer here, as opposed to Australia. So, I'm doing fine. Doing promotion for a great album and speaking to the other end of the world. I mean, the other side of the world. I don't want to call Australia end of the world, but thanks. Thanks for having me on the show.
No worries. We are close to the end of the world. We're very close to Antarctica, I believe.
Okay. Well, that was right, yeah.
One of the two. All right, well, your 10th Edguy album, Space Police, Defenders of the Crown, is due out here very soon. Tell us a little bit about the concept behind the album.
Well, actually, there is no concept really behind the album. The only concept was to make a typical Edguy album and avoid making a concept album, which I really had done. I've had my share of conceptual things with Avantasia, and I've had my fill, so to speak. So, the new album is it's all typical Edguy, and it's a very, very innocent album and a very, I'd say, spontaneous and even naive album in a positive way. Because after I came back from the Avantasia tour in August 2013, I knew that my Edguy fellows were about to. They were ready to record a new album, and I knew they had been waiting and they had been on hiatus for quite some time. So I said, let's go, let's enter the studio and let's work on a new album. Let's start right now and book the studio in 2 months and see what we have come up with by that time, material-wise, and then go into the studio. That was an insane schedule because I didn't have any songs finished yet at that point, and the rest of the guys either. It was. We were putting an immense pressure on ourselves, but we knew that we could interrupt the production process anytime if we wouldn't come up with the material in time. But to cut a long story short, it is a very spontaneous album, and every song is typical Edguy, and we did not think twice. We did not second guess. We didn't have the time to second guess. We just did what we can do best, deliver what is Edguy, pretty much.
It's an epic album. I was just listening to it before, and the word that comes to mind is triumphant. I guess that's Edguy's sound, but when you listen to it, it puts you in a good mood, makes you want to party.
It's not only the sound, the whole career is triumphant. So
sure.
That's a nice way to put it.
I love it, and the album cover as well with the Space Police on the front. Who comes up with the idea for your album covers?
Do you like it?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, it was my idea. Of course it was my idea. Who else did you think of whose idea was? No, seriously. We just wanted to have a flashy artwork, and we wanted to have something that would yell at the viewer. And of course, the first working title of the album was Defenders of the Crown. But we thought that was too cliche, and the record label immediately suggested, oh, great idea, let's put some knights and some swords and some of that cliche stuff on there, and that's a great way to market the album as a heavy metal album. And everybody will love it. Edguy's doing a heavy metal album, and I said, yeah, what have we done in the past? Jazz albums, so what? So we said, no, that's too obvious. Let's change the title. Let's go for something more odd. And we had that other song, Space Police. And I thought Space Police is a great album title because no heavy metal band, actually, which is paradox, no heavy metal band would dare to call their album Space Police. Because that's, heavy metal is a very risky kind of music, but that would be too risky for those real heavy, superheroes in loincloth to call an album Space Police. So we said, okay, we go for Space Police. And then we combined the both, and we thought we need a cover that would yell at the viewer. just like the music is great. It needs attention, so let's get that attention. And we had the idea, what about an 80s style or 70s style porn police cop with a mustache, just like in Village People. That was, of course, we knew that there would be some people who would say, maybe no, but that's been our guideline for the last 22 years, to do things that a lot of people would maybe say maybe no about, and here we are with a real weird cover, but it sticks out, not like a sore thumb, but like a beautiful golden shining thumb. Put it into the record shelf, and it's weird, but it yells at the viewer, and that's what the music does. So mission accomplished.
I'd definitely say so, because it definitely sparks the imagination. Because when I saw the album cover, I was like, I couldn't stop staring at it. I'm like, what's the story behind the space police and that little creature thing that's on his arm? And I love it. It's awesome.
It's not little. It's just the perspective. I think the creature in the original creature is probably about, I would say, 24 meters long, including the tail. So it's just a matter of the ankle and not the ankle, the angle. It doesn't really have. It has ankles, I think. It has feet, but it's a matter of the angle you look at it. So it's about 20 to 24 meters long. The original creature, just to be precise,
That's awesome, man. I love it, eh? Well, you kicked off your career at a very young age, and you're still out there kicking ass to this day. How do you feel that you have progressed as a singer and songwriter since you started that many years ago?
As a singer, I can say that I was playing around with my voice more often, and I just try to not discover new ways of singing, but I try to discover new ways of singing and invent them, do something for humankind and the history of music. Not so much for myself. No, seriously, I just try to have more, to show more of my influence, and I think when I was a young singer, I was just trying to sing as high as possible, as impressive as possible, but feeling was not so. It was very overrated in the early days. So I think I just allowed to get those influences into my music, or let them shine through musically, and also vocally and also songwriting wise. Stuff like in the early days, you could only hear in very brief moments that the basics of our music that we play is pretty much based on blues. At least in my book of heavy metal, it's all blues-based music. It's soul-based music, and it was singers like Jorn Lander, when they first worked with me on Avantasia, that were really, really making that clear to me, and that I was so impressed by how he was including soul and blues elements into power metal music, and that's something that I was always inspired and influenced by blues bands. My first bands that I liked were bands like Dio and Rainbow and Whitesnake and AC/DC, of course. Everybody loved AC/DC. So that was my first favorite band, and it's all blues-based music, rock and roll-based music, and the music we play is very classically influenced. It's very, very, it's built around weird chord progressions and not so weird, but more classical influence. It's more layered music, and I think the way those two kinds of music go together, that had to be developed and established throughout our career, at least for us. And nowadays, when I do songs, for example, like The Eternal Wayfarer, that's clearly influenced by Ronnie Dio and by, I'd say, even Glenn Hughes. And I always loved those singers, but when I was a young kid, I did not know, or didn't even have the idea to let that influence shine through. I just wanted to sing as high as possible, sound like a dog whistle, and that's pretty much changed. And I'm really, really happy, because you get so much more diverse, and that opens so many doors for yourself to feeling worlds, to new territories of musical feeling that, just enriches your music. And that's what I feel. Purists would say, nah, he's coming up with some bluesy stuff, as we did, for example, on Tinnitus Sanctus. The bluesy side of mine was really taken over, maybe in stuff like Sex, Fire, Religion, and even stuff like the blues and rock and roll side was taken over. With this album, I think the classic metal side is a little more prominent than the blues side, but it's always been more or less obvious that there's more influence than just European classic music in our metal.
When you hear Edguy, you know it's Edguy.
That's a good thing, I think. I mean, it's just that's what I said about the album earlier on when I did it in another interview. It's always all 10 songs on the album. There's not one song that reflects the whole album or that would stand for the whole album. But each song is typical Edguy in a way. Each of those 10 songs, and you could not pick one. There's always that question: if an alien would come to Earth and you would have to show him one song so he would grasp the idea of Edguy, what would it be? Well, you can't do that. And that's what, I mean, the record label even has a hard time to market us. They say power metal. If you say power metal, there's whatever that expression means, there will always be some people who say, it's not power metal, there's ballads on there. And then if you say it's a rock band, people will say, no, it's not rock. It's got double bass drums. It's power metal. And, so it's really, really hard to label this band or to put it in a pigeonhole. But at the same time, Edguy fans know how distinctive this sound is of this band, and that we're Edguy. It's a compliment. It's not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily help selling records, but it feels good from an artistic point of view.
Yeah, exactly. I think that should be enough. You just go, it's Edguy. It's going to blow your face off. What else do you want? It's an epic album, man. I really, really dig it. But it's been a while since you guys have been down here. When can we expect the Edguy down in Australia?
I hope so. Because I've never made it a secret that I love Australia. It's just great to be there. The only problem of Australia is that it's so far away from us. That's the only disadvantage. But on the other hand, if it would be closer, everybody would go there and tour, and then Australia would not be what it is if it would be more connected to the rest of the world. That's probably part of the magic of Australia. You don't feel that because you're there all the time, but for me it was great because Australian people are very, very, very special. The whole atmosphere. It's very European, and at the same time it's way more relaxed, and it's so far away. I've felt very, very, very good every time we've been over there, and the fans are great, and I hope it's going to happen. On this tour, we haven't even been to Japan on the last tour on Age of the Joker, because we had so many things to be done here in Europe that we only went overseas for a brief visit of Central and South America. That was it. The rest was Europe and Europe again, and then Europe with Deep Purple, and then European festivals. And I hope that with this tour we will come over to do way more overseas stuff, and of course include Australia. I hope so, and I'm very optimistic it's going to happen, but not this year. Probably next year. Well,
we'll be counting down the days until it's announced. That's for sure. Because we need to see you guys down here in Australia. There'll be beers ready for you, so let's make it happen.
Yeah, well, we really hope it's going to happen.
We're going to go to the track Love Tiger off your brand new album, Space Police. Thanks so much for taking the time to hang out with us tonight, Tobias, and, can't wait for the album to drop here.
Thank you very much, and hope to see everybody in Australia on the road. Until then, enjoy the record, and hope to see you within the next 12 months on some Australian stage. I'm very optimistic. It's going to happen. Thanks for having me on the show.